What if I told you one of the most effective, most consequential presidents in all of American history is someone you probably can't even name? I mean, this is a guy who promised to get California to settle the Oregon Territory and completely overhaul the nation's economy. And he promised to do it all in just one term. And you know what? He did it. So let's get into the incredible story of James K. Polk.
Who is James K. Polk? That wasn't a question from some student in a history class today. No, that was the actual mocking chant from the rival Whig Party back in 1844. See, when the Democrats nominated this pretty much unknown guy from Tennessee, a man whose career was supposedly on a downward spiral, nobody, and I mean nobody, took him seriously. So how on earth did this political nobody become president?
To really get Polk, you have to understand just what a massive long shot he was. He wasn't just some surprise pick. By all accounts, his political life was basically over.
I mean, just look at his track record here. He wins the governorship in Tennessee in '39. Great, right? A solid stepping stone. But then he loses his re-election in 1841. Okay, so he tries again in 1843 and loses again. We're talking 2 failed campaigns back to back. His star was not just fading, it was fizzling out. So for him to suddenly become the presidential nominee a year later, it wasn't just improbable, it was basically a political miracle.
So what was his secret weapon? Well, the Democratic Party was a total mess, just bitterly divided. All the frontrunners were canceling each other out. Polk emerges from the chaos as a compromise, a dark horse, and then he makes this brilliant political move. He promises, right up front, that he will only serve one single term. This was genius, because it told all his rivals, hey, you can all get behind me now, and don't worry, you'll get your shot to run in just 4 years. It was an absolute masterstroke.
And it worked. The party rallied, and Polk squeaked out a victory. But unlike most politicians, he didn't just show up to the White House with vague ideas. No, he arrived with an incredibly clear, focused, and wildly ambitious to-do list for his one and only term in office.
And here it is. This was his entire presidential agenda, laid out like a checklist. 4 huge goals. The first 2 were all about the economy. Lower the tariff to get trade humming, and set up an independent U.S. Treasury, so government money wasn't sitting in private banks. The other 2 were about pure expansion. Settle that heated Oregon border dispute with Great Britain, and then the big one, his most audacious goal of all. Acquire the massive territories of California and New Mexico from Mexico. No fluff, no vague promises, just 4 concrete, monumental tasks.
Now, Polk was known for being this stern, methodical, absolute workhorse. He once said, "I am the hardest working man in the country." And honestly, he probably wasn't lying. He got right to it, systematically turning his promises into policy, just checking each item off his list.
All right, so first up, the economy. Boom. He gets the Walker Tariff passed in 1846, which was a huge win for his party. It lowered taxes on imports and got trade moving. That same year, boom, he brings back the independent treasury, a core democratic idea that reshaped how the government handled its money for decades to come. Just like that, 2 goals down, 2 to go.
Next up, Oregon. Now, the big campaign slogan had been 54 degrees, 40 or fight, basically threatening war with the British Empire over the border. But Polk, after playing hardball, managed to negotiate a compromise at the 49th parallel. No war needed. And just like that, the land that would eventually become 3 entire states, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, was added to the U.S. peacefully. Goal number 3, check.
And the result of all this expansion? Look at this number. In just 4 years, Polk oversaw adding more than 1.2 million square miles of land to the United States. To put that in perspective for you, he expanded the size of the country by 1/3. He literally reshaped the continent to fulfill this idea of manifest destiny.
But that final promise, the last item on the list, acquiring California, that one wasn't going to come peacefully. It took a brutal, controversial 2-year war with Mexico to get it done. And while it fulfilled his last campaign promise, it would cast a very dark shadow over his presidency and over the entire country.
And yeah, this is where the story of Polk's stunning success takes a really sharp, dark turn. Because fulfilling all those promises, it came at an immense cost. A cost that would basically rip the country apart at its seams.
The moral outrage against the war was maybe best captured by Ulysses S. Grant, a guy who actually fought in it before he became president. He called it, and you can see the quote right here, the most unjust war ever waged by a stronger against a weaker nation. For him, it was a clear-cut war of aggression, and he was far from the only one who felt that way.
the opposition was fierce. You had a young freshman congressman named Abraham Lincoln standing up on the House floor and challenging Polk directly. You had abolitionists and pacifists condemning it. In fact, in 1848, the House of Representatives actually voted to censure the president, formally blaming him for unnecessarily and unconstitutionally starting the war. And the big fear driving all of this was that all this new land was really just about one thing: creating more slave states.
This all kind of boiled over with something called the Wilmot Proviso. It was a proposal that would have banned slavery in any of the territory taken from Mexico. Now, it didn't pass, but it was like throwing gasoline on a fire. It totally ignited the national debate and forced the issue of slavery's expansion out into the open. From that moment on, any talk about going west was really a talk about the future of slavery in America.
So Polk got his territory. He checked off that last box, but in doing so, he made that simmering, ugly conflict over slavery absolutely impossible to ignore any longer. His incredible success actually became the catalyst that put the United States on a direct, irreversible path to the Civil War just over a decade later.
So we're back where we started. Who is James K. Polk? Was he one of the great, effective presidents, or was his success really a catastrophe in disguise?
This is really the Polk paradox. On one hand, you've got a president who, if you're just grading on did he do what he said he was going to do, is arguably one of the most successful in history, an A+ student. He fulfilled every single promise. But on the other hand, that very same success directly lit the fuse for the nation's greatest crisis. He stretched the country to the Pacific Ocean, but he also stretched the issue of slavery to its breaking point. And true to his word, Polk didn't even try for a second term. His relentless, non-stop pace for 4 years had completely burned him out. He left Washington, headed back home to Tennessee for retirement, but it would be the shortest retirement of any president. He caught cholera and died just 103 days after leaving office.
So, what do we make of James K. Polk in the end? Was he an unbelievably effective leader who achieved a stunning list of goals? Or was he a destructive force whose ambition cost the country dearly? His story really forces us to ask a tough question. How do we actually measure a successful presidency? Maybe it's not just about keeping your promises, but about fully understanding the consequences that come with them.